Thank you, Dr. Compound's introductions. My topic is I would like to talk about the clinical application of immune cell therapy for the disease. It's my specialty. And firstly, I would like to show the outline. Firstly, I would give you a very brief introduction of the immune cells, and we focus on the clinical application of the immune cells, and then how to banking the immune cells. I will introduce that, and the application of the immune cell therapy is very important in cancer immunotherapy. And so far, the cell therapy become an industry. So I will introduce the industry situation in the world, and then I give a very short conclusion. So what is immune cells? Immune cells control the immune system in our body. In general, immune cells, we can divide it into two criteria. One is lymphoid progenitor. The other is myeloid progenitor. Natural killer cell, T cell, and B cells come from lymphoid lineage. So these three kinds of cells sometimes called lymphocyte. But another cell named dendritic cells, part of them come from the lymphoid lineage. What kinds of immune cells come from the myeloid lineage, including eosinophil, basophil, neutrophil, macrophage, mast cells, and dendritic cells. Different kinds of immune cells have different functions. All of the cells control the immune system to defend our body from foreign pathogen, or just like virus or bacteria invading to our body. So all the immune cells come from the bone marrow because the hematopoietic stem cells come from the bone marrow, and then the hematopoietic stem cells generate and differentiate into all the immune cells. We can divide it two kinds of the immune system. Immune response. One is humoral immune response, the other is cellular immune response. Humoral immune response is related to the antibody that's secreted by the B cells. When the antibody on the surface of the B cells, it would be catch the antigen and transfer a signal from the BCR to stimulate the B cells, and then the B cells become plasma cells to secrete antibody. The antibody can neutralize antigen, virus, sometimes bacteria surface to optimize them and cooperate with other immune cells like macrophage to uptake some pathogen. How about the cellular immune response? Most important cells is dendritic cells. Dendritic cells is one of the antigen-presenting cells that can present antigen. Why the dendritic cells to present antigen? It wants to stimulate T cells and stimulate them and activate them to become a powerful cells. For example, the CD8 positive T cells is a kind of cytotoxic T cell. It could directly attack the cells infected by the virus. And the helper T cells will help other cells because helper T cells will secrete some cytokine like interferon gamma that will stimulate macrophage. IL-4 help B cell to secrete the antibody, and the IL-22, IL-7, it will help the neutrophil or natural killer cell activation. So when we know the different kind of immune cells, we can know how to manipulate the immune cell to treat disease. Firstly, I want to introduce a cell named Treg cell. This is a kind of T cells. The regulatory T cells can suppress our immune function. Why the immune function could be suppressed? Because the immune system is the network that could be kept balanced. If overreaction, we got this, like autoimmune disease or allergen. So when we got autoimmune disease or allergen, it means our immune response is overreaction. Some disease like autoimmune rheumatic disease, we can use the Treg cell to suppress the overreaction of the immune function. So we can divide the Treg cell into two groups. One named nature regulator T cells. It could be educated from the thymus. The other we named induced regulatory T cells. So many experts use the Treg cells to suppress autoimmune rheumatoid disease. How they generate the Treg cell is a technique to get the Treg cells. And very important marker named FOXP3. So they can select the Treg cells by the marker named FOXP3 from our circulation and expand them in some special condition. And this video shows that some company, they generate a technique to induce the Treg cells. There are three routes how to expand our Treg cells. In the situation or in the patient with autoimmune disease, the population or the numbers of Treg cells is more rare than normal individual. So how to expand this group of Treg cells is very important. So the first method to expand is to inject the antigen plus the IL-2 to induce some naive T cell differentiate become Treg cells. The two methods is vivo expansion. They draw blood from the patient with autoimmune disease and they expand the Treg cells. Ex vivo, they use IL-2 and the tissue beta, sometimes use the specific antigen to stimulate these naive T cells become the Treg cell, and then inject into the patient to suppress the immune function of overreaction. So now this method is under the clinical trial. The second clinical application of the immune cells is that to treat allergy. As we know, the allergy is overreaction of immune function. I want to take an example. Type 1 reaction. Sometimes we call it anaphylaxis or ischemic asthma, allergic rhinitis is belong to the type 1 reaction. One of the immune cells play the key roles named master cells. When the master cells get the signal from one kind of the immunoglobulin E, they will stimulate by the antigen and release some molecule related to the allergen, like histamine. So Treg cell have the ability to suppress the activation of the master cell. So some clinical trials do that. They expand the antigen specific Treg cells, inject back into the patient with allergy to suppress the master cell to totally cure the patient with allergy. The other example is that a company named Circassia in UK, they designed a small peptide. This peptide can link dendritic cells and the naive cells. They use ability of the dendritic cell to drive the naive cell differentiate, become the Treg cell, then inject into the patient to suppress Th1 is a type of helper T cells immune response, also to inhibit Th2 immune response. Sometimes Th2 immune response induce the lag phase response. So the Treg cell can suppress both Th1 and the Th2 cells and their immune response. Most important is that the Treg cell, especially tumor antigen-specific Treg cell, could suppress the antigen-specific master cell to suppress the allergy. It's working now, and the peptide is a product. And another example is that they use the T cell to treat hepatitis B. As we know that the virus hidden in the inner cell is very difficult to kill it, but some kind of our immune cells like CD8 T cells and the natural killer cells could kill the cells infected by virus. But the T cell must be activated. But how to activate it? The naive T cell become a powerful cell to kill viral infected cells. They need use the antigen presenting cell. Sometimes is dendritic cells or macrophage. As you know, to signal model, the naive T cell must receive two signals in the same time. One is from the TCR named receptor on the T cells. The other is the costimulatory signal. So in that situation, the naive T cells can be activated and get the ability to kill the cells infected by virus. So some experts, they develop a new technique. They modify the T cells with gene. They transfect some vector into the cells. The cells can express some protein on the surface. The protein, like the antibody fragment, that could recognize some peptide from the virus, and they can transduce some signal, like the T cell signal, to activate the T cells. So the T cells modified by the gene, like a GPS, that can let the T cell to track the virus-infected T cells and kill it. So it's not an application of the immune cells to treat chronic hepatitis B. The clinical application of the immune cells to treat cancer, like this figure shows. In our body, we have many different kinds of immune cells, but two kinds of them have the ability to kill tumor directly. One is CD8 T cells, the other is natural killer cells. CD8 T cells must be activated by antigen-presenting cells like dendritic cells, but natural killer cells can direct to attack tumor cells. So some technique is to expand the natural killer cells and inject back into the patient with cancer to kill their tumor cells. However, they find that the cancer patient, their cell number of NK cell is lower than normal individual. Sometimes they find that the activity of NK cells in the cancer patient is very lower than the normal individual. So we can expand the NK cells and enhance its activation ex vivo. And then when the NK cells get much power, we inject back into the patient with cancer. It can play some role to protect our body from the tumor growth. And sometimes it can kill, and the specificity kill the tumor cells that in our circulation. So our concept is that the network of the immune system could be constructed by different kind immune cells. So not only single cells can work, we must let them work together. So we must design the treatment procedure in different time with use different type of immune cell to construct a good environment for our immune system to defend the tumor growth or metastasis. The next I want to talk about how to banking, because if one day you expand the immune cells, and that time the patient cannot receive the cells. At that time, we can storage the immune cells in the cell bank. But in my experience is that when the immune cells were stored for a long time, if we store it, the viability is not good. So when you froze the immune cells, you must very carefully to care about the procedure. And the cell bank, you need under regulations of GMP and the GTP to make sure the procedure is good for the safety of the cell banking. And you must to consider about that. What material you will storage the cell. So the cryopreservative material, very important that you have to consider that carefully. And we have to choose how to storage the cell. We have to think about we will use the gas or liquid phase storage mostly, and most company of cell banking, they choose the gas because the liquid phase means we have to dip the cells into the liquid nitrogen. This will hurt the cells. And we have to make sure the liquid nitrogen, the volume of liquid nitrogen is the same volume. So we need to use the automatic liquid nitrogen storage system. It can detect the level of liquid nitrogen automatically. And if the liquid nitrogen is low level, it will inject the liquid nitrogen into the tank automatically. But how to, the most important thing is that what kind of cell you will storage and what kind of the cell you will separate. So you need have a technique to separate the cell and the culture. That's why we storage the immune cell. Many methods to separate the cell and storage it. This figure shows some example for that. One is a machine from the Mutani. They use the magnetic bits conjugated with antibody. This antibody can to recognize the cell, and then they use the magnetic ability to select the cell with the specific antibody, and then they throw it through the machine to separate the cells we want. And the other machines example show that the BD company, they have a machine named Fox area. They use the mechanism of fluorescence conjugated with the antibody to catch the cells we want. But this machine do not approved by FDA yet. So this machine cannot use in clinic. But the Mutani company products can use in the clinics, but it's very expensive. It's very expensive. And this is another example for separation of cells. This method is used the mechanism of centrifuge. They use different density of the cells and then centrifuge to separate the cell. But it is used in the experiment. It's just small volume. So if we want to use large volume of cell and use in the clinical trial, we have to develop a convenient and cheap method to separate the cells we want. And how about the cancer immunotherapy? The traditional cancer therapy methods, including surgical, radiation, and chemotherapy. Advanced therapy, including monoclonal antibody-based therapy, but if only monoclonal antibody to treat cancer is not work because the ability of antibody is lower if we only use the antibody. So sometimes experts conjugate the antibody with toxin or radiation. When the antibody to attack the tumor, the toxin will kill the tumor cells. But the question is, it's harder to generate high specificity and high affinity of antibody to attack the tumor. So some experts to modify the antibody with cell. I will talk about that in the later. And another the newest attack is that the checkpoint block inhibitor. As we know, the immune cells have an inhibitor signal to prevent its overreaction. Sometimes the tumor cell develop a new mechanism to suppress the activation of the immune cell to escape from the immune cell attack for survival. So the checkpoint blockade inhibitor is block the inhibition signal of the immune cells. Let the immune cells keep their activation to kill the tumor. And the most important immunotherapy is that use the dendritic cells, specific T cell, natural killer cells, and the newest technique is that chimeric receptor antigen T cells, named CAR-T. This table shows in comparison of different kind of method to treat cancer. Compared to surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, we can find that the immune cells therapy is systemic, but the surgery and the radiation is local. But different with the from the chemotherapy. The chemotherapy is short-term, but and significant adverse effect because the side effect of chemotherapy is more, sometimes is more than the tumor to influence our body function. But the immunotherapy almost no any side effect, and the immune cells therapy is a long-term efficacy when actually effective positively attack against the microcancer. The most important of the immune cell therapy is that remove the residual cancer cell in our circulation to prevent the boost or the relapse of the cancer. Some experts argue that maybe the chemical therapy is not work on the patient. So in 2004, they make a statistic for the patient with cancer who receive the chemotherapy. They find that only 2.3% patient prolong the survival. Only 2.3% is very low. So some experts think about the chemotherapy is work to treat cancer, but the data is too older because it's about 10 years ago. This is the new data from 2014. The doctor do an experiment. They treat the patient with acute myeloid leukemia. After the patient get the bone marrow transplantation, and then treat the patient with neutrophil cells. After 2 years, the survival rate is around 6%, but the patient with AML, acute myeloid leukemia, is only maybe 20%. So from the figure, we can find that the effect of neutral killer cell therapy is much more than other methods. Another group from Germany, they told you that from the 1999 to 2014, they collect the patient is around 2,070 and 700 patients. Half of them get immunotherapy, and the rest just treat them with the traditional method. They find that 69% patient got complete remission, but it's around 67 patients got partial remission. But almost 50% that received the cell therapy, they got significant prolonged overall survival in patients treated with immune cell therapy. So they are thinking about that. They will combine the immunotherapy with the traditional therapy. And maybe after surgery, we give the patient some dose of the immune cell therapy. So next slide, I will introduce the newest tech named the checkpoint blockade inhibitor. Actually, is the monoclonal antibody that can block the inhibit signal from the T cells. So the molecule on the surface of T cell named PD-1 and the ligand named PD-L1 sometimes expressed on the tumor cells. So if we block the inhibitor signal, the tumor cells will not escape from the attack by the immune cells. And these two kinds of antibody now is become a product. Two pharmaceutical companies produce these two antibody. One is the Bristol Myers Squibb. The other is Merck. And these two kind of we can say is a kind of biodrug. It's very hard now, and some breast cancer and lung cancer get encouraging result from these two antibody. But it is still some problems have to be solved because it is a kind of bioagent. It means it's a protein. They will digest in our body and will induce the anti-drug effect. So how about the drug can prolong the effect or prolong the effect, and how to suppress their anti-drug effect is another issue that we have to solve. But these two pharmaceutical company, their stock price is very high because of these two drugs. And the other newest tech for the cancer treatment named CAR-T. Actually, CAR-T is the gene-modified T cell, gene-modified T cells. They transduce some gene that express some protein expressed on the surface of the T cells. A part is antibody viral region. That is the part against some antigen. And the other part is that the intracellular signal that can transduce activate the signal to activate the T cells. So when we got the gene modified immune cells, the cells can directly to attack the tumor cells. This idea is not a new idea. It was created in 2004, but it is until 2030, the UPenn, a medical group of UPenn, they create a new clinical trial for AML. They got a very encouraging result. So now the CAR-T technique is very hard in the field of cancer immunotherapy. But there is a very serious side effect because the gene-modified immune cells lack of inhibited signal. So when the patient receives the immune cell therapy, their immune function get overreaction. Sometimes they induce cytokine storm. Sometimes we call it cytokine release syndrome. It is a very serious immune response. So they modify the gene and produce the third generation of CAR signal to modify the effect of the CAR-T. But I think it's maybe the next generation of anti-cancer method, and it's the trend of cancer immunotherapy. What I would like to say is that the microenvironment of tumor is very complicated. Sometimes the tumor will secrete some cytokine to inhibit our immune function, and sometimes it could induce the cells surround the tumor cells become tumor cells. So not only single immune cells could successful to attack tumor cells, we must to make a good environment for immune cells to construct a defense system to against the tumor cells. Some group they use the dendritic cell to drive the helper T cells, and there are some groups that use dendritic cell to let it pass with the tumor antigen or tumor mRNA or tumor cDNA to prevent tumor antigen to activate other immune cells. But it's not enough because the smart tumor cells develop some mechanism to escape from the immune cell attack. So we have to know what happened in the microenvironment of the tumor cells. In our concept is that we have in different stage use different kind of immune cells. For example, firstly, we have put the dendritic cell to prime our immune system, and then we inject the helper T cell and the NK cells or B cell to help the immune function to attack the tumor cells. And sometimes we have designed some small molecule to block the molecule secreted from the tumor cells. That could be FP3. That is kind, you know that it is a kind molecule of the Treg cells. The Treg cells will suppress other immune function. So if we can block the signal of the negative signal, we can enhance. It is so-called we can enhance the immune function of other immune cells. Until now, the cell therapy, not a single technique, it's become an industry. how about the situation of cell therapy industry? Many experts say that the 4P medicine will be the trend in the future medicine. What is 4P medicine? 4P means predictive, prevention, participatory, and personalized. Predictive, firstly, we have to analyze what's happened in patient, and we have to help the patient to prevent the disease happen. And we have interacted with the patient to talk to him how to get the treatment. So the participatory mean that. And we know that individual diversity is a big issue because every single person very different from other person. So we have designed the treatment procedure for a single person. It's mean personalized. So the cell therapy is a model of the 4P medicine. Firstly, draw the blood from the patient and separate the cells what we want. For example, our technique is we will separate the lymphocyte and we stimulate the lymphocyte to induce the lymphocyte differentiate or activate, and we culture it for several weeks, and then we harvest at the right time and the proper time. We inject the cells back into the patient. So the cell therapy manufacturing play the key role in the 4P medicine, and the 4P medicine will be the chance of the future medicine. So the cell therapy will be a trend in the future medicine. The company named Disk6 is an investment management. They select 8 of the new tech. Then it is a kind of creative destruction. What is creative destruction? He explained that the new concept could be created to destroy the old or the traditional concept. The ranking of the creative destruction idea, including electric cigarette, LED lighting, and also the natural gas engine technology, 3D printing. Interesting is that the cancer immunotherapy is the number 2 because they find that the cancer immunotherapy can fit with different kind of cancer, and the cancer will be the biggest issue of all the disease. So the Disk6 analyzed that. They think the cancer immunotherapy is a creative destruction idea. It's very different from the traditional concept of the medicine. From the view or perspective of the investor, from the figure we can find that the Nasdaq Biotech Index is grow 400% over 5 years, did by some large company. The large company contains some very big pharmaceutical company, but they find that the biodrug or chemical drug have its limitation. So they urge to find a new platform to change the concept of medicine. And they classify or invest to 3 categories. The first, gene therapy, gene editing, and the cell therapy. Gene therapy is direct, modify the cells with gene. And the gene editing is direct to modify some special gene inner the cells with a special technique named CRISPR or Cas9. And they use genetic modify cells, or they just used the immune cell to treat disease. So the three categories is very important to be selected to invest for the investor. This table shows that until 2040, this new company respond from the financial market from 22 million to 105 million. And now their current valuation is around 4,500 million. And or that at least they have the 60 million. So we can find that the investor invest the biotech company very aggressive. Especially on the gene therapy company or the cell therapy company. The cell therapy company respond from the financial market more and more than the gene therapy company. Many big pharmaceutical companies, they are very aggressive to find the company that they can be cooperate. For example, Biogen, GSK, Pfizer, they invest the gene therapy and to find the partner to develop a new technique for a new platform for medicine. And like Emerging, Johnson Johnson, Novartis, they also invest to the cell therapy. So from the table, we can find that the pharmaceutical company or the pharmaceutical industry, they focus on the cell therapy and the gene therapy, not only this year, but also in the future. This table shows the new company founded from 2030 in America. The new company, including gene therapy company, cell therapy company, and gene editing company. The cell therapy company, including NK cells, CIK cell, leukocyte, and RCR, they raise funds from the financial market very much. Actually, in the world, there are many companies related to the cell therapy. For example, in America, Dendreon is the first company that used the immune cell to treat cancer. Their first product is named Provigin. Actually, they use the dendritic cells pass with some specific peptide to stimulate other immune cells. But the regulation in America is very serious. They view this product as a new drug, so they have to proceed the phase 1, 2, 3 clinical trial. So this company developed this new cell therapy method. It's around for 10 years. It's around 10 years. How about this company now? But its effect is not so good. So their stock market price is lower down than before. And in addition to the company in America, in Asia, Greencoats in Korea, Medinet in Japan, they also use the immunotherapy as their product. And the stem cell company, including Northwest in US and the NeoStem company in US. Why I show this table? What I want to say is that the cell therapy become a big industry, not only to develop a new tech, but also they have to treat the disease in the future with the new concept. So Dr. David and Regin said that cell therapy industry is a kind of billion-dollar global business with unlimited potential. Unlimited potential. What's the difference between the cell therapy with other chemo drug or bio drug? Because the cell is a living drug. What it means is living. Living has its own wisdom. It can become more powerful when he meets different situation or environment. This is a big difference from other chemical drug or bio drug. And in the future, I think the cell therapy will be a trend to treat different kind of disease, not only cancer or allergy. So, in the future, a new concept is that life supports life or living treatment. My company have our own GMP, GTP manufacturing facility. It is the face of my company. I have my own lab under the regulation of GMP and GTP. It is the clear room and all the facility under the regulation. And we have 3 clear room and 1 cold room to qualify control of the clear room. It's my R&D center in Taiwan. We have the liquid nitrogen for banking with automatically machine. We have many partners with cooperation. My clinical trial in the Taiwan University Hospital, we use the immune cells. Actually, it's focused on NK cells. Autologous NK cell therapy as an adjuvant treatment for AML and solid tumor. Actually, we received the lung cancer as our target, and we cooperate with Enhanced Cell Bank in Taiwan. We help them to differentiate the cells they storage named peripheral stem cells to make the stem cells differentiate become immune cell to treat disease. And we cooperate with National Taiwan University College Medicine Graduate Institute of Clinical Medicine. We developed a new ex vivo culture system in the closed system, one step to separate and culture the cells in the back. And we have a new technique to detect the cytotoxicity in the microchip because we cooperate with the National Taiwan University Institute of the Applied Mechanics. We developed a new microchip. We just drop a little blood. It's just 1 microliter, not 1 microliter to detect how about the immune cells and how about the ability of the immune cell to attack tumor cells. It's a very small chip, and we have the pattern for it. And in the international, we cooperate with 2 groups in Europe. One is Latvian, the other is Lithuania. We cooperate to create a new vaccine named chimeric viral-like particle. The pseudo particle package a new antigen to become a machine. The tumor antigen we select named CA9 is a kind of enzyme named carbonic anhydrase 9. It's a normal tumor antigen vaccine. We just develop it, become a machine we cooperate. And we cooperate with a company from US named Single Cell Technology. I have no idea about this company because my boss in Taiwan University assigned me to cooperate with them. So I have no idea how to cooperate with them. And I cooperate with Dr. Compound. We will develop some new method to treat cancer or anti-aging via STEM International in Thailand. Thank you. This is my presentation. Yeah. And thank you for your attention.
Any questions from the audience? Dr. Sevi? He asked you two questions. Please ask back.
Thanks for the very interesting talk, and I think that's one of my area of interest because I don't really have a immunology background, but I do feel like this is a fantastic one. But can we have? I'm just thinking about like, is this some immunotherapy, the antibody base, can be useful for quite few tumor. If I use this antibody against a particular tumor, but can it work for a different type of tumor? Because sometimes you have a different antigen and different receptor that corresponding. So how can we specifically target the cancer as well as cancer stem cell, but number of different type of cancer?
Very good question. Actually, until now, there is no any one tumor-specific antigen for all of the tumor, because the tumor antigen is very different between tumor. I don't know. You can understand what I mean.
No, I do get that part. But what I felt is that can I have one target that quite generally expressed in many tumor?
It's very difficult to get the antibody for all the tumor. For example, if I get lung cancer, the lung cancer tumor antigen in my body is very different to another lung cancer patient. Yeah, different. Maybe some expert or scientists find some tumor antigen, but it's not for everyone case. Firstly, we have to test whether the patient with the cancer had the tumor antigen. So the next generation of technique is to screen what kind of the tumor antigen is specific for the single person, and then to tag the antigen to generate a new antibody and to do that. Actually, to generate the antibody is not a new type. Now, it's a very mature technique to generate. But the thing of difficulty is how to get the tumor and how to specific to get the tumor from the patient to generate an antibody. The technique is not difficult, but it must take a long time.
So in that case, can I say so? It should be very personalized medicine for each patient.
Yeah.
Dr. Sai, in your experience, what type of cancer respond best to your immune cell?
In my experience, the cancer related to the blood, like leukemia, is get good effect using the immune cell treatment. The second experience in my patient is the lung cancer, especially for the non-small lung cancer. I don't know why, but this kind of cancer get better effect for the treatment of immune cells.
What about prostate cancer?
I have no the experience, but I think the prostate cancer have a good treatment effect after some drug or chemotherapy if they are on phase 1 stage.
As you know, in Asia we have a lot of hepatitis.
Oh yes.
And how could immune cell can be useful for hepatitis?
Yeah. I think hepatitis can be effective, can be treated by the immune cells, because why the virus cannot be removed easily, because the virus hidden in the cells, and the immune cells could specificity to kill the cells infected with virus, especially virus infect hepatocyte. So it's my plan. My next clinical trial, I will use the natural killer cell to treat the patient with hepatitis B, especially for the chronic hepatitis B patient.
Because I think we were talking about that in the morning as well. If I were to target the cancer cells, do you think the same natural killer cells will be able to target by cancer stem cell? Because the current problem is actually the recurrence of the tumor. So can you use that one particular natural killer cells for both cancer and cancer stem cell?
Yeah. The natural killer cells got the ability to attack any transform or something different of the cells. For example, the cancer stem cells, but depending on the stage of cancer stem cells. But if the if the cancer stem cells under the very early stage, I don't think the NK cell could attack them. But if they become the early stage of the tumor cells, the NK cell could attack that, because the NK cell could automatically to trace any cells that become different.
If there's no further question, I would like to thank Dr. Sai for your presentation.
Thank you.
And I look forward to working with you in cross collaboration. So